Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. And hey, Brooke.
Hello.
Hey, so sorry that we missed you guys last week. I apologize. That was really, I think, my fault. Definitely my fault. It's just so busy with the kids going back to school now, and me starting back at school, and then having the college stuff as well on top of me working in school and. Yeah, so there's a lot going on there, and I apologize. I called Brooke up last week about that.
Totally not your fault. As a matter of fact, I was like, whew, because it was our first week back, and I didn't know how crazy things were going to be. And when you called me, I was like, whew, I feel like that was a good path we just chose on that one.
Yeah, I did. You know what? You're right there. It was a lot, and but anyway, totally sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. We definitely miss you all, and don't we? I know it feels better for us sometimes when we can skip a week, but we do really value our time with you guys. So definitely want to let you all know that, because Brooke and we talk about that a lot. How you know the word, some of the stuff that comes through is very helpful to a lot of us, including ourselves. So
Yeah, because I think as relieving as it was to kind of have a week off, just because things have been crazy, I was also still like, oh, you know what I mean? After, I was relieved when I love canceled plans. I've always loved canceled plans, but then afterwards, I was like, oh, well, maybe we just should have, even a short one.
it's so funny because I was having those same thoughts.
But I did need that break, so thank you.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, you're welcome, and thank you for being so understanding. So thank you. All right, so cool topic going on today, which is what it kind of looks like when you are not following your path. The feelings that are coming up as a result of you not feeling your path, some of the maybe pains, if you will, if that's how you want to look at it, but some of the experiences that we all go through when we are not following our path, and what that actually looks like. One of the so actually we get a lot of calls, or at least I do, and Brooke, I apologize, I don't mean to speak for you.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, just had a conversation the other day with someone that I'm talking to about this very subject, where we're trying to figure out how to get them on their path. So I currently work with them, and they really don't like the environment. They don't like a lot of the things that are happening in the school, just because it doesn't jive with their energy. They're empaths and they feel a lot. And yeah, I mean, it's a tough position to be in. But one of the things that I was telling her, she keeps telling me, like, Chris, I feel I don't want to be here. And that right there is like the number one key.
Yellow. Yeah. Yeah, because that's the thing. We all have a frequency that we vibrate at. We all have our own resonance. And so sometimes we're in situations that we have started to vibrate higher, and this situation that we're in is no longer matching our vibration. And so then we start feeling discontent. And it's because that's not our vibration anymore.
Yep. Yep.
We are not resonating with it.
And you know what? It's interesting too, because I was talking to this lady, and I said, well, you haven't been wanting to be here, I know, for a couple of years now. And because just from our conversation. So I said, well, what keeps you? And she said her benefits. And I'm like, you're coming from this sense of not having, but I'm like, well, how is your health? My health is great. Do you ever get sick, or do you ever go to the doctors? No. And I'm like, well, then take the time to go get a job that resonates with you more. Start to go in that direction. And it's very interesting to talk to people who aren't necessarily in places that they want to be, and they feel it, and it literally is heavy on them.
Well, because what's holding her back?
Yes.
Fear.
Exactly.
Because we're afraid. It's hard for us to trust that what's coming up is really going to be coming up. And it's always that fear. Hate that word. That that's what's ultimately holding us back.
Mhm.
I guess, well, and I feel like, I guess not just as a woman, but like as a married woman with a husband who is supportive and has always supported the family, I do feel like my freedom has come a little easier than some people's, especially if you are, single, or if you are the breadwinner, or if you are, my decisions were always very easy. I would go on lunch break and not come back at jobs.
You were saying that before.
Because here's the thing, I'd have this job and, oh, yeah, I'm going to Lowe's today, or, oh, I'm going to here today. I love my job. I love my people. Then so far in, you start getting the like, oh, here I go to work again, and like a couple, a little bit after that, you start like crying a little bit before you go into work because you really don't want to go. And then I would find myself crying the night before, even thinking about the next day going to work.
Mm.
And then I'd be like, go to lunch break, not come back. Woo! That stuff felt good. I'd have a job again the next couple of days, but I could and that was easier back in that time too, because even 15 years ago, you could almost walk into a place and get a job.
Yeah.
It's not like that now with having to apply online and you don't get to see your face, but back then I could walk out of a job and have a job the next day.
Yeah.
But as soon as my vibration was not matching the vibration of that environment, I was out of there.
I'm with you. And you know what, when you're talking about the vibration and not vibing with your location, that's huge, and a great sign for those of you that are wondering, hey, am I following what I'm meant to do? Now, I talk to teachers all the time who are like, yeah, I don't like the school, but I like the kids. And there's a difference there, like when I go into teaching, I definitely know I'm not going to gel with everybody that I work with, or even in the jobs that I used to, but I know that I'm there for the kids, and that I know I'm going to feel good about being there for them. So there is a difference, you got to make sure, and you make sure you just distinguish between those two. But if you're feeling deep down inside like you need a change, you need to move.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry. I
No.
acted like I was going to say something there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. And that's, so like I was telling you how, when you brought up this topic of what's it look like when you're not following your path,
Mm-hmm.
like, of course, a few ideas ran through my head, but of course, then with, doing a podcast, you have to think about like how you want to say it, you know what I mean? To make it make sense.
Yep.
And I really didn't have anything yet on how to make it make sense, because the first thing I was thinking of with following your path is, of course, you're thinking of life path. Like you're thinking of that whole life path. Well, I had an experience like 2 nights later after you brought it up, and we have a path. We can have a path daily. You know what I mean? There's always things being presented.
Uh-huh.
So it's like we have our plan, in our mind, in our human mind, we have a plan. So my plan this one night, I canceled all my obligations that I was going to have. I took care of everything during the day, so that my plan that evening was to be home with my family, have a fun family night, make dinner for them, maybe, spend a little fun extra time with them. That was the plan. That was my plan that I made in my head. And then it's like, it was around the full moon. So a couple family members were full mooning. I'd already had I felt the werewolf inside of me. And it had been there all day.
Mm-hmm.
But here with them, I was still keeping the like, it's okay, guys, trying to keep the peace in my house.
Mm-hmm.
Something kept telling me go for a ride. Well, no, my plan was to stay home with my family. Well, I decided to listen to the path, because the path was telling me to take a ride.
Beautiful.
So let me tell you, if I'd followed my plan, it would not have been a good night. The beast would have showed up. I would have hurt feelings. I may have broke a few things. So if I just tried to stick with my plan of being with the family that night, I would have been with them, but they would not have wanted me to be with them.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't lost my stuff yet, but it came to me, go for a ride. So I came up to my husband, and who, like I said, thank God, is one of my greatest supporters. And I was like, I need to go for a ride. And he's like, you go do you, girl, like, go do what you got to do. Like, I'll see you when you get back. So I start out and I'm like, all right, Brooke, we got to change this attitude around. Like something's going on inside of you. We got to change this around. So I start with the radio. You know, that's always like my thing, is start with the radio. Well, it was my dad's birthday. So one of the first songs that came on was Boys of Summer, which was like a song that makes me think of him. Oh. And so I was like, all right. So immediately I felt so much lift off of me. And I was just like, whoo, I'm on my path now. You know, I'm on my path for the night. And I immediately started feeling like at least 70% better. Well, then I get to a red light and the next song was Celebrate Good Time. So by this time I'm starting like bebop. You know what I mean? By this time I'm like, whoo, all right, I'm feeling really good now. And I felt somebody looking at me next to me. And I look over at the drivers at the front row of seats, and they weren't looking at me. I look in the back, and there was this little Indian grandma with the biggest smile on her face and her eyes just twinkling and lighting up. So see, my frequency at home was not good. So now I'm out and things are starting to match my frequency. So this little grandma next to me was just so tickled seeing me dance. I was so tickled to see her smile and her twinkling eyes. So of course that just bumped me up 10 more notches. So then I go to ROFO and Royal Farms. If anybody doesn't live around here and doesn't know what a ROFO is.
I don't know what a ROFO is.
Royal Farms. Okay. Like, you know, we have Wawa, 7-Elevens, ROFOs.
Gotcha.
So I go there. My change was $13. That was me and my dad's lucky number. And that was the night that I told you I was at Woodland Beach.
Yes. Yes, I do.
I drive the most beautiful sky all the way there. Had a couple cool fun encounters with people there. And the sky all the way home was amazing. And it ended with me getting myself Kit Kats and shoving it down my face before I got home so the kids couldn't have any. But you see, if I just stuck with my plan, I would have continued to still feel unsettled and, you know, a little bitter and a little angry. But being that day I chose to follow the path, then I had things that resonate. Then I had things that did meet my frequency out there and that did raise my vibration and so that was the first night of, to go along with what we were discussing on how, you know, you stick with your plan sometimes, and it's good to have a plan. We have a mind for a reason. You know, we have to make a plan, but sometimes that plan will lead to your path. Well, most of the times, I would probably say 100% of the times, that plan's going to lead to your path.
Yes. And what's so cool about that is it was the feeling that got you to go away, you know, to find the path, you know, go for that ride. It was like, you got the call, you got this communication, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And this feeling that I have to get away, and you did. And it was the ego mind that was like, but wait, you have a plan, you know? So you went with the feeling, you went with that communication. Am I?
Absolutely. You're 100% because, and that's one thing that, and this is something that takes practice to learn how you drive, to learn how, so this does take practice. And I mean, and it takes you have to learn your discernment, because you could be at a job and you could be having a bad week and you might be, well, I listened to Chris and Brooke's podcast and they said, I better get out of here. No, you may be it could be something else going on in your life at that time. So just because you're having a bad week at work, so you have to learn your discernment to see, like, you know, is this feeling for me to leave my job, or am I just going through something else right now? And that's why I'm feeling like this at my job, or whatever other decision you have to make. But when you look at yourself, we're energy. Everything's energy. But as humans, we use our minds a lot. You know, that's where we get our first ideas. That's where we try to like make sense of things. But if you're following your energy, so, you know, you get presented with two things, you know, it's like, okay, stay home, go for a ride. And you think, stay home, see how your body feels. And then you think, go for a ride, see how your body feels. And so let your resonance be the one to guide you. You know, what energetically are you being drawn to? So now your mind's going to mess with you. Your mind's going to say, you can't leave your family. Like, you run out all the time. You just get to do whatever you want. You think you can just run off whenever you want and just leave everybody home. Or so my ego's telling me that, but my soul is saying, like, my energy is saying, but you need this because you're going to be the better you in the long run.
Yep.
Oh, ego would have loved for me to stay home and destroy my family that night. You know what I mean? I probably would have had a worse next day and a worse next day, to where my energy was leading me out and letting me go be refreshed and come back and be a better family member.
Yep. It's, I describe things the exact, or when I'm talking about decision making, I say that all the time. It's so awesome. I've never heard anybody say that, what you just described there. And I freaking love it. When you make a decision in your mind and you sit with it and you see how what energy that develops inside of you. I phrase it a little bit differently. But wow, that's such a powerful way of making a decision, to see the energy that it generates inside of you. And I wish that, this is backwards. That's what's happening. Is that better? Can you hear me better? I'm so sorry about that. I was talking
it's good.
back of
It's
the
about the
microphone.
same.
Okay. Well, I can hear it differently in my ear. But anyway, so interesting. And man, that's so cool. I tell people that all the time. Just make a decision in your mind before you move anywhere, before you make these, judgments. Sit with them for a little bit. Make a decision one way. And oh my gosh, sorry. I don't want to say what you said already, but that's so cool to hear that. I've never heard anybody say that.
Because when you follow your vibe, you know what I mean? It's like, that's why I said, like, you hear like, oh, I resonate with that. I resonate with that. Well, we all have a resonance. We all vibrate at a certain frequency. And at certain times in our life, you will find that maybe it's a person or maybe it's a place that you once did resonate with and you felt good about that energy, but maybe like you start to feel like, but I don't want the group I usually hang out with, I'm not really feeling like going over there tonight.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or these people I hang out with, like, I'm start cutting my time back a little bit. But it's just like, it may be that you've raised your energy and they haven't yet, and that's okay, but maybe something in you is starting to resonate with something higher. And so then you have other people that match your frequency, or other situations that match your frequency start to present themselves,
I'll tell you, yes, totally. There was a time before I even got into any of this, and I've told all of you that I've been ghost hunting forever. There was a time, Brooke, when I didn't follow it. I was with a small group. We were going ghost hunting, and we all get together and we're like, something's not right tonight. Like, we don't feel right. And we all acknowledged it, but we're like, it's 3:00 in the morning. Let's do our thing. Let's continue this. We were getting ready to go to our second location, and we're like, just something's not right. Something doesn't feel right. Well, we went to the second location, and we're out there, trying to get contact. And in one of our recordings, we heard this really deep, what didn't sound as light, go, leave. And it was
okay, bye.
That's what we did. But now, when I say we all did not feel right about this, it was so amazing because it followed us home, this spirit, and started moving things in my room, started audibly, I could hear it talk to me at night when I was sleeping. It was talking. Fortunately, I actually, at the time, I called a medium. And they did help me.
I was going to say, what'd you do to get rid of it?
Yeah, I called a medium and he did help me, but it was crazy. Now, again, though, that goes back to exactly your story, where we had this plan, even though we had the feeling, we didn't listen to it. Now, my story is just the direct opposite of yours, where we didn't follow the feeling. We went with the plan, and crap happened. Now, I will tell you this. I got that spirit, that medium helped me get rid of the spirit in my house that night. It then attached to my son and followed him for a while because he was part of the group. Now, my son was older. He was 19 or 20.
Yeah.
So he's obviously making his own decisions, and he wanted to hunt or go look for communication with me. He was part of our small group, but it followed him too. And the ultimate what ended up happening was, it was right before I started to do this work that this all happened. And when I started to do the work, I was able to get rid of it later.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask you was, at this time, were you involved in mediumship yet?
No, nothing.
Was there anything about the encounter with that medium that led you to want to go more into mediumship?
No.
Okay, so what I was getting at was any of that maybe part of the path?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was getting at.
Ooh, interesting. Well, this is what I will tell you about that. Okay, so interesting. I did not have the idea of mediumship, but what did come of that
Yeah.
was the idea that my son and I can help spirit cross over.
Aha.
Yeah, which I do now.
Yeah.
So like I'll tell people I can help spirit go from be removed from their home, but ultimately what we're doing is helping it cross over, and that did come from that experience.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe that was the experience that helped take you down your path.
Yeah. Now the interesting thing was, though, that it was a feeling that I had. It did help me. Although I had the feeling, I always felt like I wanted to help ghosts cross over even before that incident, but that really helped solidify it, even though it wasn't part of, like, I didn't feel it that night.
Yeah.
It was something I didn't feel like we should do. And even though it did, in the end, it helped me only because I will tell you this. I mean, every situation can help us if we take from it what we're supposed to learn.
Right. If we look at everything as a lesson in which I learned from that, rather than why did this happen to me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We certainly looked back and we're like, all right, what we know next time to trust our intuition, because we all had it. So that was huge. That definitely came from that as well. And
Yeah.
the other one was, we definitely can help spirit cross over here. Now let's figure out how I can do it. And now I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty interesting. But there was something else I thought I wanted to tell you about yours, and I forget. Oh, that's what it was. You were talking about like individual paths, like maybe for a day or something.
Yeah.
So the other thing, if it's not necessarily a path for a day, for all the for people out there that are listening right now, if it's not a path that, if you actually are looking at a path like a life choice path, that's something that you continuously feel. This is not something like Brooke was saying, where you have these feelings where you get sad before you go into work, or then you start to get sad in the morning, then you start to get sad in the night before. These are huge indicators of, okay, something's got to change here. Something's got to, if you're going into work and obviously you're being the best version of you, and but you're still having these feelings, something is off, something, and that is where you can make up these decisions, like you were saying, Brooke, where you sit with it. Hey, if I leave, what kind of energy does that generate in me? And think about it. The ego mind, is, well, I don't know if you even subscribe to this, Brooke, but one time I channeled and got like the ego mind could be an aspect of the guy down there. And when, if that guy is trying to get you to stay unhappy, he's going to use all these lower vibrational mentalities and thoughts to get you to stay there. So he wants you to be fearful so you don't follow that path.
Right.
So just something to be cognizant of.
I mean, that's in general. Everything is, are you picking faith or are you picking fear?
Yes.
It's like, are you, it's one thing, like if you're unhappy in your job, and we use job, I think, the most, because I think that is just what most people can look at that situation and think about. Like there's all kinds of other things for our path, but I think just the job for especially adults is the easiest way to make these analogies. But yeah, like absolutely. It's like I know people that have been at their job for it's one thing when it's been like a week or a month, or you're going through a period, not just at work, but there's things going on at home. Like right now, it'd be completely understandable for everyone in education to be questioning their life right now. You know what I mean? Like that's normal. It doesn't mean you should quit education right now. Or doesn't mean, but like, yeah, that's normal right now that you would be questioning that. So you want to look at the circumstances surrounding it. But I know people that have been in the same job, and I've heard them complain every day for 5 years. And I'm just like, and at this point, I'm like this with them. I don't even want to hear it because you're still there. Like, I don't even want to hear it. Like,
yeah.
I could see, I was trying to help you out for that year or two that you were struggling with your life. But I was like, it's 5 years later. Like, you could have lived a whole different life starting a few years ago, but you just couldn't let go.
Yep. Well, I mean, I was in IT for 20 years, and I'll tell you what, when I loved being in IT, my bosses would treat me like crap. I mean, real bad. And they would hold training classes with the entire team, and this is no joke, and they would leave me out of it because I was in another state. But nonetheless, they knew I was supposed to go in it. They knew I wanted to go into it, and then they would hold it without me and say, oh, sorry, Chris, I guess you don't get it. Then there were other times where I had a relative pass. I was this guy texted me, asked me if I could help him on the day that my uncle passed. Well, I was at my uncle's house, and this guy calls me up and says, Chris, I need your help. I'm actually at a party. Can you do this work? And I tell him, hey, he texts two different people, me and this other guy. I tell him, I'm sorry. I'm literally at my uncle's house. He just passed. I can't do it. So the other guy, I say, hopefully the other guy will. The other guy texts back, I'm golfing and I'm not doing it. Yeah. But my point here is these situations, when I loved IT and I knew that I was on the right path, I didn't even care. I was like,
right.
And I ended up doing the work. I actually did the work at my uncle's house.
Yeah.
And, the whole family was together, and I actually worked real quick, but nonetheless. But when I'm following my path, I didn't even care. It was like,
right.
hey, this is what I want to do. It's what I love. I'll do it. I'll get it done. And then I'll be with my family. Well, later on, right before I left, the smallest of things would start to really conjure up some real low vibrational feelings. And I started to notice it was, little by little, it started to grow. And I'm like, why is this bothering me? This typically would not bother me. And then I started to get the feeling IT is not where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
I sat with it for a little bit. Like I usually do not make split second decisions when it's like life altering.
Yeah.
So I obviously sat with that for a bit, and and then sure enough, there came a time where I was like, you know what, I'm done. And we were just getting ready to have a huge audit by the government, and I told my boss, I'm like, I'm out of here in 2 weeks. I'll stay until after the audit. He's like, we don't even want you here now because we don't even know what you're going to do when these government officials come in here and audit us. But so my point there, though, is that you will begin to notice these things that start to bother you, these feelings that just develop inside of you and just get stronger and grow more. And you're not happy when you feel it. You're not happy when you just know that intuitively there's something more.
Yeah. And I think at some point we all do know that this is the truth. It's because they're having the balls. It's having the balls to leave. You know what I mean? It's getting to that point where you can overcome that fear. I think we all deep down know when we're supposed to be doing something or not doing something. It's just, when are you going to move?
Yes.
It's like, how long are you going to let yourself be, that miserable? Whether it's in, a relationship, I'm trying to think of other things besides a job, you know what I mean? Because we keep going back to job because it seems like the best thing to go to, but just, anything in life, it's like whether it's people you hang out with. You know, when you're not, you know, you might have a best friend that you do things all the time, and then everything's happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy. And then all of a sudden that friend calls you to do something and you're just like, you know, and then after a while, because it may be that your vibrations don't match anymore, you know, doesn't mean you gotta like hate the person and break up with them and be like, we can't be friends anymore, I'm never hanging out with you again. But it could just be that you start limiting the time to see what else maybe the universe has for you. Make some time to see what is going to resonate with you. See at this new vibration you're at, what else is going to be sent your way that matches that vibration? What other people or friends can you meet that are going to help match your vibe, attract your tribe, you know? And so there may be other experiences for you in life than this one or two, where it's a group of friends that you hang out with. Maybe you've moved to a point to where there's other things for you to experience. And so you stop resonating and vibrating with this group, and other things you're attracting start coming to you to experience.
Well, you've touched on that with your story, which I thought was another aspect that's very important to understand and realize, that the universe has our back. And like, really, and that was something I learned early on when developing myself, was that having the mindset of the universe does want you to be successful and is helping you be successful is an important mindset to have. And, you know, we have this fear-based mentality where we don't want to move because we are scared of what will come of it, the unknown, basically.
Yeah.
But when you start to believe in that aspect of the universe having our back, and knowing that where we are meant to be will come of the change that you are going to do, as long as you feel that the change is necessary, you know, failure is not an option. It's going to happen. You're going to be successful. You have to work, you have to put the time and effort into it, but it will be successful. If you feel it deep enough.
Yeah.
And you go out there and you do work, you're going to get there.
Yeah. And this, what just popped in my head, and I didn't even think about saying anything about this today. Personal choice, medication. Our emotions are here to guide us, whether it's anger, whether it's some little anxiety, whether it's depression, whether it's all of those emotions guide us, and all those emotions are necessary. And so I think about like medication for some people. And like I said, if that's something that, you know, you feel you need, then absolutely, you know, you do what you have to do. But me personally, I look at it like, if I were taking medication to numb my emotions, how am I going to be guided? You know, it's like, I need my emotions. Now, I've learned to, over the years, get in more control of my emotions, to where I you know, I was on medicine when I was in my 20s. And I think, my gosh, like, what if I just stayed on medicine forever and depended on that to guide me, you know? But I started learning coping skills instead, because I was like, we clearly need our emotions. Our emotions are important. I don't ever want to take anything that is going to make me numb to everything or not have emotions. That is how we're guided. And so, you know, I've had to learn coping skills, you know, to where if I just took medicine my whole life, I might not have ever got around to these coping skills. But so, yeah, I still have emotions. Sometimes they get a little out of hand, maybe a little extreme, but I need them there. That's what's guiding me, you know. It's like we need our emotions, you know. The other thing I was thinking was free will, you know. So it's like this group of people that something in me is telling me I don't resonate with, like, this group of friends anymore. I still have the free will to still hang out with them every day. It might not be enjoyable. Maybe they're partaking in things I didn't agree with, but maybe I'll start partaking in those things with them. Maybe instead of my vibe raising and me going out and resonating with higher things, maybe on my free will, I can choose to stay there and maybe bring my vibe back down and stay with those people. You know what I mean? But we still have free will. You know, it's like, no matter what, whether you choose or not to choose to leave something or stay there, you have the will to do that. It just doesn't mean it's going to be the best answer later on for your path.
Yes, exactly.
But I do believe paths will continuously be offered to us, so we'll have a path that we might not take.
Yep.
But that was just that opportunity. It doesn't end there.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have other opportunities. You're going to have choices for other paths. They're like, okay, she didn't pick this one. By her free will, she wanted to stay here. That's fine. Later on, I'll be presented with something else, another opportunity.
Check this out. You just brought up, which is where when I told you about that, when we were talking about this topic, this is where this came from. I totally forgot about the story until you just said that, which, yeah, where you're going to be presented with other options to get you back on your path. So this, what was it? I forget if it was a guy or a girl now. It was a woman. So a woman comes to me because I channeled a guy and a girl differently, don't know each other, and both of them, they're interesting stories. Nonetheless, this woman comes in and they start talking to her. I'm channeling for her now. I'm channeling her in a session, and they're saying, you're going in a direction right now that we don't want you to go into. And then she asked a question, is it in reference to this relationship that I'm here to talk to you about today? And they say, yes, that's exactly what we're talking about. So yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, where is this going? They said, you are not meant to go into this relationship. He is not there for your highest and greatest good. And if you do choose, because they brought up free will, they said, you can choose to go in that direction. That's fine. But what we are going to do, and this is exactly what they said, this is so cool that you just brought that up, was they said, we are going to find a way to get you out of that situation and into where you are supposed to go.
And that's where I was going next. So go ahead, finish that up.
No, actually, I mean, that's really all it was. And she's like, well, what if we just, kind of play around a little bit? And they're like, you are not meant to be in this relationship. There is something else that is going to be coming to you that is going to help you. And you could miss it if you stay there too long.
Yeah.
But we're going to try to get you out of that situation even more if you try to go in it. And yeah, so go ahead. Amazing.
That's what I was going to say. When it is, they will still, like, sometimes if we're not listening to their cues, sometimes you're just like, all right, they just clearly need a hit in the head because they're not doing this. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So what came to me about this is funny because, like I said, it's just, since you brought up the topic, these things kept coming to me. Okay, so here's my analogy. My analogy is the skinks that were in my blanket this morning. Skinks, these little lizards we have outside.
Yeah.
But this is what came to my head when I saw that. So it was like a moving blanket that I didn't use because it was full of spiders, so I hung it on my railing. Well, today we need to use it to move some bricks. So my husband pulls it off, and there's at least, I think there was at least 3. I know I saw 2 for sure, but he said there was more. There was 3.
Or skinks?
These were skinks, like these little lizards that we have here, little blue-tailed skinks. And it hit me right then with the analogy of, okay, those skinks, they were pretty comfy there. I don't think they were just in there hunting. I think that maybe they thought they found their house for the winter. I think that they were hunkering down, going, we found this nice, comfy spot. This is where we're going to be for the colder season coming up. Now, we came along, like the universe comes along for us, and shakes this blanket out. And they looked a little kind of lost. Like when they went on the ground, they didn't run off and didn't do their thing. They kind of looked like, oh my gosh, we don't know what to do now. So now if they'd have stayed there this winter, that blanket would have gotten wet. It would have frozen. They would have died if they stayed in that blanket. But we came along, shook out what they thought was their house, broke their house down. They're a little lost and scared right now. But now that they're out of that blanket, they're going to be able to go find where they're supposed to be burrowing for the winter. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to be able to survive. So see, they were comfortable for that moment and thought they had something, but it wouldn't have worked out for them. And
a moment could be years.
Yeah.
For a human.
The universe came in, broke down their house because the universe knew that they had to go somewhere that was going to be safer for a longer period of time. They had to go where they were supposed to be, so anytime things look a certain way to us, if we don't move and we really need to be moved, they will move for us. I can't tell you how many times in me and my husband's life, like, he was always a breadwinner. He still is, always has been, the provider. And there's been 2 times that he's come home from work, unloading his stuff from work out of his truck. And I'm just like, he's like, yeah, no more job. And I think he took them harder than I did. I've been blessed with faith. I really have. I consider myself so blessed with the way my mind works. And I just say there's just grace on me, because even in those times, I was able to do a little bit of a smile and go, God's got something better for us.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like, without really skipping a beat, without even worrying too much, I always knew that God's got something better for us.
But, and well, I'll tell you what, Brooke, but that's the mindset we can all have. That just
Yes.
happened to me today. Literally. I told you earlier, my school, and I've been out of work since March. Just this week, I went back. My school is closing tomorrow and possible more because people have tested positive now.
Yeah.
And I turned to my wife and I was like, it's going to be okay. On my way home today from where we were, I was seeing 4s and 8s. 8s are a sign of abundance. I don't even have a job, really. You know, like I've been back to work for a week and I make pennies now. And I was like, yeah, it's going to be okay. I'm seeing 4s, I'm seeing 8s. They are talking to us. And that's the thing, like just what you were saying, when you have that faith, you know, when you know the universe has got your back.
Yeah.
There is nothing there. Fear is not even an option anymore. You're just like, I got the strongest company I need.
Yeah. And I just, that is my biggest wish for just every human being, is that if they knew, and a lot of us do, a lot of people, through whatever faith system they have, whatever belief system they have, a lot of people do know this, but I think they tend to forget it sometimes.
Totally.
That if you knew who was backing you, if you knew the light that surrounded you, you would fear nothing.
Yep.
You would walk out of that job. You would fear nothing. You know, I think there's a healthy level of questioning things. There's a healthy level of fear. I hate that word. There's a healthy level of it, to where, you know, you got to think about things a little bit. I've never thought about things. I don't advise anybody to do what I do. Just live off the seat of your pants. Like, oh, I want to buy a hot dog cart. Okay, well, buy a hot dog cart. Oh, I don't want the hot dog cart anymore. I'm going to sell the hot dog cart. Oh, I like this job. Let me go over here for a minute. You know what I mean? Like, I don't recommend that for everybody. It works for me.
Yeah.
My husband's like, yeah, it worked for you because he had to work the whole time while I'm off trying all my little ventures.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I said before was the 2 modality things. Like so say you're trying to get into spirituality as a business, as a work. That's what I always tell people, because that's something that always resonated with me, that somebody has said, get 2 different modalities or 2 different methods of working with people, you know?
Yeah.
And once you get them, then you start to grow the business. So like, if you feel like spirituality is your way to move, right? Or like, take for instance, me again with, I always say it, I have 1 foot in the game, 1 foot out, you know, and did I talk about this before?
No, I've heard you use that reference before. Like,
Yeah.
I get where you're going.
Yeah. Well, so here's, obviously we got the spiritual work over here. That's what we're doing right now. And I have my modalities. I have the different ways I work with people. And trust me, if you get, you know, go for one, more are going to come to you. But the other way is, so like, I am trying to work through schooling to try to become an educator, because I really feel like that's where I'm meant to go. And, what the heck is my point? Oh, to work. I'm sorry. That's what it is. To work. So we always know that we have to put effort. Like, we know the law of attraction will always be there to help, as long as we are putting forth effort. Like, we can't quit a job, or we can't just expect things to happen without actually putting effort in that direction. The laws of energy dictate and mandate that we're going to get what we put in. So if we're not working towards that goal, we're not going to make it. We have to actually work for it. We have to
Right.
state what we're looking for and then move there to
Right.
make it happen. And the universe is going to send grandmoms in the back seat of a car with their smile and twinkle in their eye to let
Yeah.
you know you're on the right path. You're
Yeah.
doing what you're supposed to do. The universe is going to send you those messages.
Yes. Yeah. But I get what because you were talking about the 1 foot, like kind of in both. And
Oh,
like, I
yes.
feel that,
Mhm.
because, when we were talking this summer about like, where do we see certain things going? Where do we see? And that was what I was saying is like, the reason I know right now with my school that as of now, it's my right path is because like I've been offered some other jobs. I've been offered, but like, and I've been like, some people have said like, oh, you do really good over here. There's not one piece of me at this time that wants to leave the job that I'm in, but yes, that other foot is constantly, kind of building, like, as my fallback plan was Reiki. That was my fallback plan. If I had lost my job, like, I didn't want to lose it, but if it had happened that I lost my job, my fallback plan was Reiki. So I always have my foot in my spirituality and my healing. Well, that's because that's who I am. Like, that's just who I am. But I also still, at the job that I'm in, I still get to utilize that part of myself. I still get to be spiritual at work. I still get to connect with people. I still get to, and that's my steady paycheck.
Mhm.
So as of now, my vibration is resonating with where I'm at, but I've lived long enough at this point, and I've been through enough experiences to where, like, I feel like I'm pretty good at my drive now. Like, I feel like I kind of got a good handle on when I'm, going the right way or wrong way,
Yep.
but yeah, got my foot in both, ready for whatever.
Exactly. Well, you're working on the spirituality stuff, and ultimately I feel like that's where you're going to go anyway.
Yeah.
Everything's going to shift in that direction fully.
Yeah.
But for right now, you got the 1 foot in. So
Yep.
to help in any way. And it's not like you're living in fear at all. You're just simply, you don't feel that calling to go there fully yet,
Yeah.
which is so
Yeah.
beautiful. And I'm the exact same way.
Yeah. Everything in me is more than content where I'm at with my job.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing in me yet that's even flickering a little bit of hinting anywhere else,
And yeah. And when you're not following your path, you don't feel the happiness. And it's never going to come up. It's never going to
Yeah.
develop for you. You're not going to just automatically go. Your soul's not going to be like, well, you've resisted me long enough. I guess I'll just make you happy now. That's not going to happen.
No. Yeah.
Gonna,
Not at all. Not at all.
Going to find those other ways to get you out, like we were saying.
I think I heard somebody talk about like the shower test. They said whatever it is, because the shower is like the very mindless thing we do. So we're technically all meditating when we're in the shower. If you really think about it, we all know how to wash our hair and shave our legs, or we'll do whatever else. So it's a very mindless task for most of us. So the shower test is, they say, like, whatever you think about the most in the shower is probably like your path. So like, if you're in the shower and you're one of your key thoughts is always like, oh, I want to sing, you know what I mean? Or, oh, I want to dance, or, oh, I want to do this. Like, they say that's probably the best test of what your path is trying to get you to say or to do, is that constant shower thought. Like, what do you think about most while you're in the shower? Yeah.
You know what? I don't want to tell you what most guys think probably in the
Yeah.
shower.
But that was called the shower test. You know what I mean?
That's a funny one. Oh, man. That's awesome. I've never heard that
My
before.
greatest. That's my epiphany place. Don't ruin that image for me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. That's funny.
All right. Well, I think we are there about that time, rolling towards the end here. If you don't have anything else there, my friend. I do not have anything.
Yeah. I think we said it. You do not feel good when you are not following your path.
Yeah. So
go
true.
with the vibration. Yes. Great that we have a mind to help us discern things and figure things out, but trust that vibration. When you give yourself, how do I feel about this? Listen to your body, feel your body. How do I feel about this? Listen to your body, feel your vibration, feel your energy. Where is your energy pulling you to? It can be so simple.
It really is. Just going with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff, bro.
Good stuff.
It really is. All right. Do you mind if I take a moment to, John?
No, I always get so excited for this part.
All right. Yeah. I'm kind of curious because I haven't been feeling much, although it's been a really busy weekend. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I've been really tired today. Ooh.
Oh,
Sorry. Just taking a second to like fully align. Enoch speaking, my children, grateful we are for such communications, beautiful attention. We call to you at this time for the understanding to be present with who you are and where you are meant to go in these lifetimes. Your souls, all souls, have done much great work to acquire the path, distance, location you are at this very moment in time. And yes, we speak to all the audience members, including Brooke and Christopher at this moment, for the true indication of your path is absolutely true in the sense of the feeling that calls you toward it. Understanding that your feelings, your emotional understanding of the situation is an imperative, intuitive guidance system that all people have, individuals, humans, society members have, to indicate whether there is a true sense of happiness with where you are going, for the path is one of true peace and calmness, not without obstacles though. And this is something to be very aware of, cognizant of, understanding that the path, even though it is part of your purpose, is not obstacle free. It is important to understand that even though the path is being followed and chosen properly, there are obstacles to overcome. There are lessons still to learn. There is not an easy way, if you will. It is simply a way that is meant most beneficial to your soul's growth. For the lessons that are to be learned while on this path are ones that are truly dedicated or intentionally set aside for your soul's growth to manage its next lifetime. For if you were to not choose the path of your current life's purpose, you will understand, your soul will understand that in the next lifetime, that is a new lesson to be added onto its already accompanied lesson. Should you understand what we refer to now, you will only inherit more lessons to be learned if there are setbacks to be had in the current lifetime that is being lived. This is something to understand for all humans. For the purpose of all humans is to ascend ultimately, but there are levels of understanding, lessons to be learned for each individual soul as it progresses up its maturation level. With this level of understanding and lessons learned, there is much growth that comes. However, shall you choose not to follow that path, it only inherits more lessons. And this is something that we do not recommend for each soul. We do encourage greatly the understanding and following of the feeling, intuition that you currently have to allow for your path to be shown to you fully. But again, obstacle free is not an option. It is simply a matter of lack of understanding. The obstacles that will be presented to you are meant intentionally for your soul to grow and inherit more light as it progresses in maturation. And this is something that we would like to draw attention to. For the light that is entering the body is very important to understand and to grow, inherit more, bring in more. You shall inherit more light when you begin to follow the path, yes, of your lifetime, but also, I'm sorry, I'm feeling it's weird. It feels like he's there's like a disconnect there. But I'm not hearing any other communication from another soul, spirit. It's just his is getting disconnected, and I'm not entirely sure why. It could even be my own ego mind, but not one to be held on to, Christopher. We encourage you to let go at this time of the thoughts and allow for the communication to flow more freely. For it is through within the path that is chosen that the lessons that are so meant to be learned for the individual soul and not to be set back so that the soul can progress in a timely manner. There is a blueprint, though, of what we on this side and the spiritual guides that are assisting all souls grow do believe, in which the soul will require certain lifetimes to understand its true purpose within the physical body. And this is what it is all meant. When the human is born, it is attempting to ascend to another level. It does a greater opportunity of ascension through following the path. When not following the path, more lessons are meant to be learned, and thus the blueprint for this particular soul can be set back or added upon. It is something that is chosen or believed to be needed for a particular soul to learn a particular lesson in so many different lifetimes. I think what they're saying is, like, they are projecting, we believe it'll be 3 lifetimes for you to learn this particular lesson. This is an accurate identification of what is being said at this time. However, what the point objective of this communication for is right now is the purpose of understanding that should you choose to follow the path, these blueprints can be adjusted to equate for the growth that has maturation that has successfully been completed in this lifetime, and the soul can move upon in lessons and yet skip a grade, if you will. Metaphorically speaking, this is my children, all. For this is for all individual souls. You can push forward, persevere, if you so choose, wish to extend your free will to decide to follow the path more clearly and thus allow for the lessons to be jumped, skipped ahead. And for this, we are truly grateful. Go in peace, all of you. Enoch speaking. Thank you and good day.
Thank you. That's so, I'm always curious when we do a podcast, like where it is that they were trying to get us to go to, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so that conversation with Enoch was similar to when you and I were talking before the podcast, and I was talking about different levels of school because we're always learning. And in each lifetime,
I didn't even think about that.
In each lifetime, our soul might have a certain goal. They're like, okay, in this lifetime, I want to accomplish X and Y, right? So like, okay, because like in this soul's past, they've already accomplished A, B, C, D, you know. So now in this lifetime, they decide they want to try to accomplish X and Y. So sometimes, because the unfortunate thing is where our soul gets here, it forgets what it said it was going to learn this lifetime, you know? So if they are ignoring path, like, so maybe they get X taken care of, but then they're not going where they were supposed to go. They might never get to Y. So, well, the next lifetime, they're going to start at Y. Mm-hmm. But what he was saying was, okay, your soul came here to this school to learn X and Y. Well, you rocked it. You learned to follow your path. Not only did you get X and Y, but you were able to get Z in. You've just skipped a grade. Mm-hmm. You know, you were able to get, you know, you were just here like with the goal of achieving like these 2. But not only did you get these 2, you might have gotten 3 or 4 in, and you've just were able to skip a couple grades.
Yeah.
But it's like I was telling you that, like, you know, you can look at Earth like maybe like, I don't know, 1st through 12th grade. Or, I mean, you can even look at like maybe some elementary, middle, and like high school, you know, at these different levels. You know, because clearly when you look around, you can see that we are all at different levels of consciousness, you know? it's not a bad thing or a great, it is what it is. You know, we are all at different levels of consciousness. And just because this person isn't where you are, they are still exactly where they're supposed to be.
Exactly.
You know, or you know what, maybe they're not following their path, and maybe they actually could have been a little farther if they were following their path.
Could have.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
but because they weren't following their path, you know, they're staying in elementary school and not going to the middle school yet, you know. But either way, it's each our own, is why we can't look at somebody else and judge and go, well, I know this, I can't believe they don't know this. Mm-hmm. You know, because they're on a different journey than you're on. You know, you can, you know, maybe send them a little thing, send them some good vibes and wish them well on the journey, but you cannot shut somebody else's journey down because their soul has its work to do. Mm-hmm. You know, we're all where we're supposed to be. But yes, you can come here and not get to where we're supposed to be going if we're not following that path, or you can come here and really learn how to follow that path and you can skip a couple grades. Yep. You know, everybody's ultimate end is ascension. You know, and even when we ascend from this plane, so you're like, I keep saying, okay, we're in high school and like some of us might be getting ready to go to college, you know. Then when we get in college, our learning is not going to stop. We may have ascended to a next plane, but we are still going to have more learning to do there, you know, before we go off and get our bachelor's and our master's and our, you know, maybe, you know, moving on up to be the elder, you know, someday. But we're always in levels of learning. Mm-hmm. But if we really learn to follow our path and really learn to follow our energy, you can skip a couple grades.
That's awesome.
You know?
Yeah. It's a really cool concept because sometimes I wonder what am I doing? Like, am I here to do more, learn more? You know, it's not something that I stress about, but it is a question.
Right.
Sometimes.
Because that's why we're all here, no matter what level we're at. It doesn't matter. Like, I mean, maybe we're somebody that can look and go, oh, I think I'm above all these people. I think I'm ahead of these people. I mean, you know, nobody's ahead or behind. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. But even if you're one of those people that does seem to be a couple grades ahead, you are still here to learn. You are still here to put in the work. Mm-hmm. You know, we are all on this plane for a reason. Yeah. You know, so no matter who we are, we still have to learn. We still have to work. And I think, you know, hey, I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm doing okay, you know? I think you're doing okay. I think a lot of people I know are doing okay, you know? Yeah. We're just here to learn. And guess what? If it doesn't get accomplished, we're just gonna go back to school. That's all. Yeah. It's gonna go back to school, you know, but we'll at least be a level ahead each time slightly, you know, because we've learned something, you know, we'll get there.
Well, we've already heard that they are accelerating the reincarnations in an effort to grow them even more quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
Because I think that's where we're at right now on this plane. I think before it could be like a soul would go back and they would actually get a little learning up there. And then it might not be like an immediate drop back in. It might be, you know, a year, 10 years, you know, 25 years later, they were back in this different decade, different, you know, time of life. But yeah, I have had the understanding that right now, anybody who's going out is coming right back in. Mm-hmm. Like, that's my understanding, that, you know, there's not this long lapse now. It's like somebody's going out there getting dropped right back in, because we are in an accelerated learning cycle right now. And that's what I wanted to definitely end this with, is because of this accelerated learning cycle we're in right now, please continue to keep being patient with yourself and be patient with others, because everybody is going through this acceleration right now, and a lot of people are spinning, you know. Be patient.
Yes. Awesome. Good deal.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much.
You said it would be a good one.
Well, thank you, Brooke. I appreciate that. And thank you all so much for always for listening and being here. We appreciate it.
Yes.
Good night. Enjoy your day. See you guys.
See ya.
Bye-bye.